The NFC North Fantasy Football Preview and Best Bets edition of Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with promo code OFFSGPN to claim your special pick plus a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN.
We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Acho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old Fashioned Football.
You make this deal right now, you pancake eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old Fashioned Football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. If you're wondering who you're listening to, this is J Mark. You can find me on the X at J Mark Football, and us as Old Fashioned FB. Before I keep going to talk about the NFC North, and before we introduce our guest, I'll introduce my co-host on the pod and in life. You can find her on the X at the Mark Mur. How you doing today?
You know, it really has been a minute.
It has been a little bit.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, we did skip out last week because a main water line broke in the building that we get our internet from. I don't think it comes from that exact building, but all their servers were down and all that. And yeah, it caused all sorts of issues.
A lot of issues across the state of Iowa and Verizon.
Yes.
It reminds me of that. Whose skit is that? The I Hate Verizon.
That's Louis C.K.
I know, yes.
Yes.
But yeah,
Verizon.
Imagine having to explain to work that not only is your internet provider like having this massive outage, but Verizon Wireless went down and you can't even get on a hotspot. Nothing. Can't call, can't do anything.
I honestly thought it was the Russians or the Chinese or maybe our own government. I mean, it could have been any of the three, but turns out that's not it at all. It was just
Leave
water
the World
issue.
Behind movie.
Yes.
We had just watched that. So it was like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
Yeah.
But
hey, before we bring our guest in,
yes,
why don't you tell everybody what we're talking about today?
Yes, this is our third of 8 division previews. We kind of mentioned 2 weeks ago. These are going to be a little bit different than last year, as we're going to touch on average draft position, or ADP, or average auction values, so AAV, as well as give out some of the best bets at the end. And we're also, during this, we're trying to have as many guests on as we can. You mentioned earlier today we do have a guest waiting to join us, so we'll get to that in a little bit. We did NFC West 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So
with Nick and Rod. And Nick
if you
blowing his
missed
wad on
that,
players.
yes, the blow your wad. I think that should have just been the title of the episode. Not NFC West, just blow your wad. We did that 2 weeks ago, and we'll be bringing you the NFC South on Tuesday next week.
Yeah.
But today's
the NFC North. And our wearing my Cutler jersey, trying to get rid of the bad get over Fields. I'm trying to get over him.
You just answered my question for me.
Yes.
You walk in here with a Cutler jersey on. I'm like, okay.
It actually just real quick story. It sprung from, I was on the UFL gambling podcast, and before that started, CJ was telling a story about how he was at a bar in Chicago. Jay Cutler was there. Jay Cutler was at the urinal. And a guy walks up to Jay Cutler and starts telling him, like, I went to Vanderbilt, I graduated. And before he could finish, CJ said, Cutler goes, don't care, and walked away with his dick out and everything. So that just made me be like, okay, we're doing the Cutler jersey. NFC North, obviously Packers, Lions, Vikings, Bears, and our guest is a Packer fan. So say all the bad things about the Packers now, because he's anxiously waiting backstage and he can't rebuttal any of it. Packers suck.
Boo. Boo Packers.
Before we bring them on, what are we drinking today?
Well, in these lovely old fashions that you made us, it's been getting a little steamy outside. We're in like the
And
mid.
inside.
All
Oh,
right.
no.
Okay. Sorry for the word steamy, everybody. We're going to cut that out.
Yeah, you brought that on yourself.
We have a new Jefferson's that's been waiting for us to try it. So today we're drinking Jefferson's Tropics. So we'll talk a little bit about that and what goes into that later on.
Yeah, we absolutely will. And real quick, one more thing before this is obviously old-fashioned football, but Sports Gambling Podcast has so many different podcasts going right now. And the NBA Finals tip-off this week, and we're giving away $100 cash and a $100 gift card to a listener who wins the finals prop contest. Just head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA Finals to enter. And not to be outdone, Hockey Gambling Podcast guys are running a Stanley Cup contest with $100 cash and a $100 gift card. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Stanley Cup to enter. You can find both those on the app. And RD taking time out of his day, even though his Mavericks are in the finals. And I believe game 1 is tonight. Let's just go ahead and bring him on. You've seen this guy on our show before. He was here for the draft as well. RD, how you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm anxious. 740 is churning closely. I probably won't turn it on till the second half just because of superstition. But yeah, go Mavs. That's why I'm rocking the blue and white tonight. It's not because I switched NFC North teams.
Are you sure?
Likely story.
I'm sure.
Likely story. Yeah. I was going to say, we'll try to get you through here as quickly as possible because the Mavs, but if you don't want to watch till the second half, I know I'm going to be trying to get through quick as possible because CFL starts tonight. We got the Blue Bombers that are going to crush the Alouettes. Already got several bets in on that, but anyways.
Did you say
Alouettes?
Alouettes.
Yes. What did you think I said? The owl?
No. What is that? PJ Masks.
PJ Masks.
Our nieces and nephew.
Oh, I don't remember.
Owlette.
That's just Owlette.
Owlette.
Okay. Are these guys?
I was like, wait a second. What did you say?
Yeah. Shout out to the chat. Mom says, hi, RD. Nick Fortune says, can't wait to hear your opinions on the NFC North. Sup, RD. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. Should we get right into it, Mer?
I'm ready if you guys are.
All right, let's start with the Vikings because nobody likes the Vikings.
All right, to get us started here then, Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy. As far as points go, neither were starters last year. Darnold is a backup. Obviously, JJ McCarthy is the rookie coming in here. So I don't have any top 5 finishes to talk about with these guys. I can tell you for ADP, McCarthy is going around that QB 26 spot and Darnold QB 35, both with an average auction value of $1.
So obviously the early lean is that McCarthy wins the starting job.
That's what it's looking like. That's how the drafts are trending.
Yeah. RD, what do you think of these guys?
Sneaky value. It's not, it's if you go by the no quarterback mentality in either snake or auction, you can get these guys late. You can pair them together if you want to, so it doesn't really matter who starts week 1. In an auction, you're going to get both quarterbacks for what, $2-3 combined. And it's a potent offense. Jay Jet got his bag. Aaron Jones out of the backfield. I think both these guys can put up points. If you're a fantasy player who doesn't go heavy on high-end quarterback, you could get extreme value out of these guys.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to talk about Jefferson in a little bit here. But of course, if somebody chooses to, in Nick's words, blow their wad on Justin Jefferson, you might be looking for a cheap quarterback, and stacking him with his quarterback is going to be cheap. Like you said, they're going to have Jefferson to throw to, Jones out of the backfield, Jordan Addison, who put up some good games last year. TJ Hawkinson, I'm hearing he might not be back until the week 7-ish because of that injury, but still, he's a really good weapon.
You'd still have the majority of your season left once he comes back.
Yeah, yep. How about you? Do you like any of these guys?
For the value, yes. And in keeper leagues, dynasty, looking at JJ McCarthy for $1, or any of your super flex leagues, I don't think that you can go wrong getting either of these guys. For
at least to stack them and see what.
And
happens.
You have Justin Jefferson, so he's gonna get his points somehow.
Maybe now that he got paid, he's not getting his points. He got his payday.
He did get his payday.
That's the Bear fan talking. That's not the fantasy guru J Mark talking.
That's fair. Let's talk about the guy that used to be your guy.
He used to be Packers. We got Aaron Jones now on the Vikings for running back. He had 119 points last season for fantasy, only one top 5 finish. His ADP right now is RB18 with an AAV of $27. And last year he came in at 37, his ranking, and he did miss 6 games though. So that kind of plays into it. Yeah.
10.9 a game. Are you, is he over the hill? Is that why the Packers got rid of him, or do you still see value there?
I still see value there in auction. I mean, all day when we talk, or all night tonight when we talk about auction values, the AAV is just, as far as when it comes to draft time, throw it out the window. Like all these AAV are, people who cut out of mock drafts early, stuff like that. So you're going to see players go for way more. You're going to see guys you thought would go for more, go for way less. So take it with a grain of salt, I guess, is my go-to on this. But I think he has value in auction because I think you're going to be able to get him cheap. I think RB18 is too high. I think he's more probably around the 25 range. I think guys like Ramondre Stevenson are going to have more upside. I think guys like Najee Harris could have more upside. And at 18, I think you really get it. You're drafting him at his ceiling. I don't think he's going to have a top 10 season in him. I don't think they want him to. I think they want him to get 18 touches a game. He's going to have more space due to the wide receiver and once Hawkinson comes back. So as long as you don't overdraft for him, you don't pay a premium for him, I think he's going to have weeks where he helps you win.
Yeah. He's not a guy that I'm necessarily targeting. And maybe that is the Bear fan as well, the former Packer. But I think if you can get him at a decent value, I agree with you that the 18th, that's looking at your high-end RB2, and that does seem a little bit too high. But yeah, if you can get good value in a standard draft or even an auction, I don't think I would do the 27.
If he's going for $27 at 18, I think that's too
high.
Because I don't see him, for when I do agree, I don't see him finishing 18th. I don't see him having definitely not a top 10 season again. And so $27 does seem a little high. However, they are going to be down some of their offensive weapons for the first 7 games. Well, they're going to be down Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Do you think? How do you think that's going to affect their offense for the first 7 games?
Well, and if JJ draws the start, nothing helps a rookie quarterback better than a running back that can catch out of the backfield, which Jones can. So, to that point, maybe he is worth it. Maybe I'm being too stingy.
Do you pay 20?
Yeah.
Because I think 27 is higher than what he's actually going to go in most drafts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think 20 is good.
I could get behind 20. And I do think those first 7 games are going to be more where you might get the most.
Yeah.
So maybe look to, if he's doing really well,
flip him.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I also think in dynasty leagues, or even if you're in 3-4 keeper leagues, you might be more okay with the 27 because you're going to have those guys on your roster where you hit on a rookie 2 years ago and you still have him cheap. So you're going to have that extra cash flow that you can be like, $6 more on Aaron Jones for 6 premium weeks. Okay.
Yeah. Makes sense. That makes sense. Let's talk about their wide receivers. We kind of alluded to them a little bit, but
we sure did. I'm going to start us off with Justin Jefferson. He brought in 168.2 fantasy points last season with 3 top 5 finishes. He's currently going at an ADP of wide receiver 4 with an AAV of $41. And his rank last year, he came in at wide receiver 28, missing 7 games though.
Still averaged 16.8 a game in the games he played. So obviously a top tier guy, and that wasn't with Kirk Cousins throwing to him all those games. Those guys like Josh Dobbs, Nick Mullins. I mean,
Yeah, the
circulation of
carousel of quarterbacks that they went through, and it did not impact him.
Yeah. RD, how do you feel about Justin Jefferson?
It's JJ. I think he's undervalued at wide receiver 4.
Agreed.
I mean, he got his bag. He's going to go out there and play. If you're getting him at 4, he's got peak upside for you because he's going to finish probably higher than that. I think 1, 2, 3 at wide receiver are pretty much how you're going to see it. You're going to see CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson. You don't know about Burrow. You don't know about Burrow's health ever, so you can't put Chase in that conversation. So, even if he's in those top 3, he's already above average draft position. You can't go wrong with that. I don't care who his quarterback is.
Yeah, $41 seems too low for him.
I was thinking that too. I was trying to what would we expect wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 to go for?
Yeah, I think, and again, like RD said, it could be dragged down from people leaving or not wanting to take the mocks too serious. But he's got to go for 50, doesn't he?
In the March league, he could go 60, 65.
70 would pass anybody in our league.
And it's going to be Nick Fortune. I think he is being undervalued as well. Let's talk about the rookie from last year entering his second season.
Yes, Jordan Addison. He brought in 186.3 points last year with 2 top 5 finishes. His ADP is wide receiver 41 with an AAV of $12, and he was ranked 21st last year.
I just feel like both these guys are being undervalued because we don't know about the quarterback position. If Kirk Cousins was there, Jefferson would be going probably wide receiver 1, $50, $60, and Addison would probably be, around the 30 range. Maybe even higher than that. What do you think about Jordan Addison?
I like him again with you guys. The quarterback. What are we going to see? Mm-hmm. Whether it's Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy, how are they going to play? I think even with terrible play or crappy quarterback play, JJ's going to get his. When Hawkinson comes back, he's going to get his. I think they're going to rely on Jones out of the backfield. I don't know that there's a big step up for Addison, but he's kind of sitting in that range with a whole bunch of other guys that have question marks around him, like Christian Watson. What's going to happen with the hamstring? Is he stronger or not? Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. All these guys could pop off. Are they going to? They're all in that dart throw territory. So I don't have a problem with where he's being drafted at ADP. Where'd he go? He just disappeared. $12. That's cheap.
Yeah,
that's cheap. And especially, you're right. Again, you're right in that range with all those other guys where they're going to go around the same cost. I think that's a good spot as far as where he sits right now.
Yeah, Deontay Johnson being drafted 2 spots ahead of him at Carolina. I don't trust Bryce Young's play. They brought in Xavier Legette. They have Adam Thielen still. I would take Addison over Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, so would I.
Let's talk about this tight end real quick.
Let's do
Coming
this.
back from his injury.
So TJ Hawkinson, we already mentioned he's likely going to miss about 7 games due to that ACL and MCL in December.
Yeah, late in the year.
Mm-hmm. So, but with that, he did bring 171.5 points. He had 5 top 5 finishes. He came in as tight end 4 last year, missing 2 games. And his ADP is tight end 12 with an AAV of $4. I have opinions on this. Go ahead.
Do you want to lead?
Well, I just think that even at okay, you're not going to have him for those first 7. I'm totally going to go for $4. I'm going to pick him up and have him carry me out the rest of the season
for under 10, even anywhere under 10. He scored 11.4 a game, tight end 4 after missing just 2 games, but still tight end 4. And he's from tight end U, right? Iowa. So, RD, how do you feel about Hawkinson?
I'm with Miranda, especially at that cheap, he's going to be a playoff winner. He's going to fall in value in both snake drafts, auction. He's going to go for cheaper because people are going to be scared of the late, the Christmas injury. He's going to win in the playoffs. There's going to be championship teams that are filled with people that paired TJ Hawkinson with, let's say, a Dalton Schultz or a Pat Fryermuth. So they're not paying a premium. You're not going to go after a Laporta or a Kelsey per se. So you're spending big dollars there. But if you can pair another guy around that cost for a $10 tight end and wait for him to come back, it's going to pay dividends late in the year. And you're going to be getting what I think will be J.J. McCarthy later in the year, hopefully playing better later in the year, which is just going to be more points for these guys all around.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Catching up with the chat real quick before we break. Nick says, would rather have Jordan Addison than Christian Watson. Sorry, RD. I don't know. He did fix his hamstring issue, apparently. Nick also says, TJ, second best tight end in the NFC North. And Kathy says, I hate that TJ will miss many games. I had him rostered last year, so we will see. Miranda, before we move on to the other teams, we got to talk a little underdog fantasy, and they're running all sorts of new stuff. So why don't you tell everybody about that?
All right. Pick 8 is live. It's now live for the NBA Finals. You can create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries. So you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. And the best part is you can win up to 325 times your original amount. So you can now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. So just don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone.
Yeah, sign up with promo code OFFSGPN to claim your special pick, plus a first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code OFFSGPN. And I think we can all agree that if you win 325 times your money, that's a hell of a deal right there. Plus, they do have CFL. I did put out a video for us for CFL for tonight's game, all about the Canadian League. So yeah. Now let's move on to, why don't we just get the other team nobody likes out of the way? And by nobody, I just mean us three. I'm sure they do have fans. Don't worry. But by us three, let's talk a little bit about the Lions.
All right. I'm going to start it off with Jared Goff. He brought in 303.1 fantasy points last year with 3 top 5 finishes. His current ADP is QB12 with an AAV of $4. And he was a top 10 quarterback last year, coming in at QB7.
Yeah, I mean, the Sports Gambling Podcast Network in general, I guess we've been a Jared Goff sucks island supporter. I think we might have to start moving away from Jared Goff sucks because he's been performing well. RD, what do you think about Jared Goff?
I think I'm right with you. We might have to lay off the Jared Goff sucks, but how much higher is he going to finish than 7?
Agreed. Yeah.
Like, everyone knows who they are now. You saw down the stretch, some teams, the Green Bay Packers, were able to shut down that offense. San Francisco, obviously, not in the first half, but in the second half, showed how to slow him down. So I think you're going to get him at his peak. Like, you're paying at his peak, whatever it is. I mean, auction value, $4. I think this whole division, the quarterbacks are all great value. But you're drafting him right around probably where he's at, 12, 13. So, I don't think I think he's probably right where he needs to be. I think he might end a little lower than that. But you wouldn't be shocked if he has another top 10 year. I just don't see it much higher than, I don't see him repeating 7.
Yeah. I mean, so we've had 2 years in a row where over 60 quarterbacks have started a game because of injuries. You got to imagine that, I guess that trend is going to kind of continue no matter the fact that they're trying to protect the quarterback more or not. It just seems like they're getting injured more and more. So if he stays healthy, I think he's absolutely worth that ADP of 12.
It's not just injuries either. It's like
benching.
Yeah. How many we need to take a look at this, but of 66, was it 66?
It's something like that.
Quarterbacks that started last year, it wasn't all just due to injury. It was due to being benched. And I feel like with all these rookie quarterbacks that we have younger quarterbacks, and I feel like I do agree. We're going to keep seeing that trend at $4. I feel like that's and really good value.
Sandwich between ADP wise anyways. Jared Goff's at 12. Jordan Love, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, is at 8. Sandwich between that is Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray, and Brock Purdy. I still don't trust Kyler Murray. I don't think I ever will fantasy football wise. I know he can run around. I get that. Dak Prescott, they seem to be trending in the wrong direction. I mean, who knows what they're doing at running back with bringing Zeke back and Rico. They have CeeDee Lamb, who is great, of course, but beyond that, it seems like the options are getting worse or declining in age. I think I would take Jared Goff over Dak Prescott for sure. I know Murray's got the rushing upside, but I just don't trust him. So I'd take him over him too. I'm not going to mention Brock Purdy or Jordan Love, but I would take him over the other two. Should we talk about the running back duo that I guess I was had to put my foot in my mouth a little bit.
Can you just say you were wrong?
I wasn't wrong because
Oh my God.
Here's why. Jahmyr Gibbs finished 10th. David Montgomery finished 13th. I just said Gibbs is still going to have to compete with Monty, which he did. I did not think they would have 2 top 15 running backs. That's where I was wrong.
He still had to compete, but it did not impact fantasy value for him.
Well, let's talk about these guys.
No, let's do. So Jahmyr Gibbs brought in 216 points last year for fantasy, 5 top 5 finishes. His ADP is RB4 and his AAV is $43. He was a 10th ranked running back last year. Do you want me to just go right into David Montgomery? And then
let's talk about him as a duo.
All right. So David Montgomery brought in 199.2 points last year, which is less than Gibbs. Just going to say that.
But if you look at points per game, he scored 0.2 points per game less. Yeah,
yes.
That's it.
He missed 3 games, though.
Yeah, and Gibbs missed 2.
Okay.
But yeah.
He only had 2 top 5 finishes. His ADP is RB23 right now, and his AAV is $24, ranked 13th last year.
And I am looking at Fantasy Pros, and Gibbs has dropped to 6th now, and Monty has gone up to 22nd. But regardless, I know Gibbs is very talented. He's got a lot of big play boom. But if you're looking at those values, I'd rather have Monty. I know he's a little bit older, but I'd rather take the value of Monty than Gibbs. RD, what say you?
I'm 100% with you. I think Gibbs is being taken like he's already produced. And not that he hasn't, but, with both guys missing games, some of those numbers are skewed as far as you got the bulk share in 3 games where you wouldn't have had David Montgomery not been hurt. Gibbs' stuff was right at the beginning of the year, so it's not even like he got hurt. That was still from the year prior coming out of college. So I just think I think he's too high right now because it's all based off projection. It's not based off of what we already know. And he still has the vulture right behind him. Do I think David Montgomery is going to have the exact same season as he had last year? No, but he's a touchdown vulture. So he doesn't need the same yards Gibbs does because he's going to score 6-point touchdowns if they're inside the 5-yard line all year long. And that number 2 spot in Detroit over the last 3 years, if you go back to the 2 years of Jamal Williams and now the 1 year of David Montgomery, that's a pretty fruitful role to have in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Jamal Williams as the number 2 running back outscore the number 1 2 years ago in Donder Swift. Gibbs is going 1 spot ahead of ETN. There's no world in which I would draft Jahmyr Gibbs ahead of Travis Etienne because I just think Etienne's the guy there. And Gibbs, like you said, is still going to get vultured. What would you like to add on this? I know already. I know you well enough that you're going to bring up Monty's age.
Well, he is getting towards the end of his those prime running back years. But are you really going to tell me that Gibbs is not going to progress? That his rank of 10 is it? That's not his ceiling. Do you see that being his ceiling? Because I don't.
I don't know if I see him as a top 5 back with Monty there. Because of, like RD said, he's going to get vultured on touchdowns. He can have as many yards in a game as he wants, but if he doesn't get the touchdowns, it really kills the fantasy value.
And I guess looking at the numbers though, if you 14.4, 14.2, I would absolutely rather spend $24 and get the 14.2 than the 0.2 points and spend double.
Yeah. We'll disagree there. That's fine. I know you're a Gibbs lover from last year. So,
Miranda, I don't disagree with you. But I think 4 is probably the ceiling. So if you're looking for value throughout a draft, are you going to draft somebody right exactly where you think their high end is going to finish? or are you going to try to find those spots somewhere? So I mean, and I have no problem with players taking him at that spot, because that if he produces at the improved peak level that kind of Campbell has kind of talked him up to, he can finish right there. But I think Breece Hall, Christian McCaffrey, and either Bijan or Saquon are probably going to lock in the back end of those top 3 spots.
Yeah, 100% agree. Quick shout out to the chat. Jamie says, "What's up, guys and ladies? What happened last week? Scheduled a show but didn't go live."
Oh, we talked about this.
Yeah,
we are so sorry.
Just
But
we'll fill you in real quick. A main water line broke in Des Moines, killed our internet, and we couldn't even use a hotspot because Verizon was having spotty issues as well. I was in the bunker with the to-go bags ready. No.
But imagine in this day and age working from home and having to tell your boss, yeah, my internet went out and my cell phone company they had an outage in my area too.
I got some mowing done though, so at least that was nice. Let's talk about the receivers. There's obviously one that's far better than the other, but I'm seeing a lot of chatter about another one. So let's go ahead.
All right, we're going to talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Last season, he brought in 271.4 fantasy points, 4 top 5 finishes, an ADP of wide receiver 5, and an AAV of $37. Last year, he came in at wide receiver 3, missing 1 game.
Are you drafting Amon-Ra? Do you think he's going to continue on that path? Hardy. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, he's the sun god. I don't know why he wouldn't. It's another one. It's another one of these in-division receivers. As a Packers fan, even though I love our receiving core, it's like some of these top-end guys from these other teams, I would, including your team, I wouldn't mind having over in the green and gold. 37 I think is cheap. Most of the leagues I'm in, I think he'll probably go higher than that as far as auction goes. And I think he has the potential to take another step to catch the Jamar Chases, the Jay Jets. I don't think there's any hesitation for his value in snake or auction.
Yeah, and Nick is blowing his wad on Amon-Ra St. Brown. He can confirm.
Interesting emoji with that because that's not money.
Well, he's referring to your Brock Purdy blowing the load. Yeah, I mean, I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's like you said, it's one of those things where you hate to admit it, but he seems uncoverable. Doesn't matter what they're doing. They get him the ball, and he's very good once he gets it. So 100% on board with drafting him that high, spending that money on him. Do I think he can get above rank 3 that he was last year? No, but he's not being drafted at 3.
No,
he's being drafted lower.
At 5.
At 5 So,
2 positions lower. Do you see him? Do you guys see him still as a top 5?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about the,
especially if the offense continues to get better?
Yeah, for sure. So this other receiver, he's starting to get a lot of hype from Dan Campbell on social media, though I've heard a lot of hype about him before. So I'm just kind of torn here, but you want to talk about Jameson Williams?
Yeah, of course. He only brought in 68.3 fantasy points last year. With those points, he had no top 5 finishes. No surprise there. He's being drafted around that wide receiver 49 position with an AAV of $1. And last year, he was ranked 81 at the wide receiver position, missing 5 games.
RD, how do you feel about Jameson Williams?
Okay, so I'm gonna preface this with my love for him has nothing more to do than I use him on my Madden Dynasty, so I love him. For $1, I'm going to take a guy that can take the top off of defense and potentially win me 3 weeks. It's $1. Like there's going to be people out there that take $1 dart throws at Rico Dowdle and the 4th-string running back for the Cowboys. If you can get this guy for $1, you get 3 weeks of 180-yard touchdown. That's 14 points that can win you a week. So for the value in auction, I'm in love with it. Maybe not so much in a snake. I think he's going to be a little bit lower than that for me. I'd like somebody who catches a few more balls, who you can count on for 4 or 5 a game. But at auction for $1, snatch that up.
Yeah. I agree with the dollar. For ADP wise, I mean, he's going right behind Keon Coleman, who I really like, right ahead of Brian Thomas, who I really like. Other guys below him, Romeo Dobbs, Tyler Lockett. I mean, those are guys that I would take before him. I might even take Josh Downs before him because I think he has a little bit more potential. But I don't know, Jameson Williams, there's just been all this hype and he's never lived up to it. So I just have that bad taste in my mouth.
He's super young. He's only got room for improvement.
He does, but I agree with the dollar. I'm not drafting him at that ADP.
He's someone who I probably will have on my queue list when I blow through my budget and have to fill the rest of my roster up with dollar players.
Blow your wad?
No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I have him in a dynasty league, and I've had all sorts of trade offers, and I've just held on to him thinking, maybe, because he's not. I mean, he's just taking up a roster spot, and the trade offers haven't been great, but we'll see. Let's talk about your favorite tight end.
Let's do this. Sam Laporta. He brought in 196.3 fantasy points last season, 8 top 5 finishes. He came in at tight end 1, well ahead of my prediction. And his ADP, tight end 1, AAV, $25.
Yeah, you did say he was going to be a top 5 tight end in the future.
No, I said he was tight end 1.
Oh, but in the future.
A future season.
Yeah, well,
I was thinking give him a year. But...
To be fair, the season hadn't started, so it was future. RD, are you drafting him as the tight end 1 if you're going to grab the top tight end off the board?
I will draft him as tight end 1. However, I don't like his overall ADP. I think back end of round 2, this isn't prime Jason Kelce yet. So I think that's a little high, probably closer to the back end of round 2, beginning around 3, as opposed to, right there at 2.2. But yeah, he's a stud. He's tight end you. I mean, Hawkinson, Kittle, Laporta, he's the young guy. So obviously he's the name that we're all talking about. The Dan Campbell, who was the tight end offense, obviously feeds the tight end. Lock it in.
And being from Iowa, he can block, so he doesn't have to come off the field, which is a huge thing fantasy football-wise that I think people don't realize, that if your tight end has to come off the field every other play, you lose rhythm. You don't get as many looks when they're doing play action, things like that. That does affect it. I did an underdog fantasy draft where I know that's a little bit different because it's best ball, but I had the 101. I've never had the 101. So I took Christian McCaffrey, and then when it came back to the 212 essentially, or 210, the top wide receiver was Jalen Waddle, so I took him, but then I did take Laporta with the 3-1. I thought that Christian McCaffrey and Sam Laporta, I thought gives me a really good advantage.
I mean, you're talking basically 200 fantasy points.
Yeah.
It's
11 a game. I mean, yeah, for sure. The $25, I have trouble spending money on tight ends. I know you say you have to pay for a premier.
There's not, after that tight end 4, tight end 5 position, it significantly drops. And it significantly drops after the 1 and 2.
And we've seen Travis in his prime years go for $40, $50, crazy amount of money. So 25 in that sense is a bargain. So we're going to talk about the 2 better teams in 1 second here. But first, I got to let you know that we're brought to you by Rhythm. And if you're betting on NBA player props, you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm gives you a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning our algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. I took quantitative decision-making in college twice, not because I liked it. So if they're good at those quants, they're smart dudes. Rhythm pairs its predictions with player prop graphs to help feel even more confident in your picks. I know when I see a graph, I feel a lot more confident about my pick. And you can use that wherever you place your bets or DFS. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data, without you needing to endlessly scroll a sports book. Rhythm also allows you to create your own custom NBA models so you can get AI-backed moneyline spread and total picks for every playoff game. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're also brought to you by NYRA, NYRA. Bet the Belmont Stakes at Saratoga with NYRA Bets. Join now to claim your $25 free bet and $200 deposit just in time for the Belmont Stakes at NYRABets.com/SGPN25. Plus, do you need an extra boost to join? Bet the Penn Mile with a bonus. Earn $10, win or lose when you're betting those horsies. When you bet at least $100 on Penn National on Friday, visit NYRABets.com to opt in. And that's not all. The bonuses aren't done. Get $10 win or lose when you opt in and bet at least $100 on Monmouth Park on Saturday. And on Sunday, it's your chance to win big at Monmouth Park. Grab a share of $2,500 when you hit the last two trifectas. Just opt in at nyrabets.com and get ready to cash in on the excitement. The winning streak continues. Score another $20 win or lose when you bet at least $100 on Assiniboia Downs on Monday, something like that. And remember to get your $25 free bet and $200 deposit bonus for the Belmont Stakes. Go to nyrabets.com/SGPN25. That's a lot of bonuses. And also the ASSINIBOIA threw me because I don't watch the ponies very often.
Thought you were trying to Billy Mays there.
Billy Mays here, but that's not it. There's more. Just wait. There's more.
There's more.
Absolutely. Nick is apologizing for bashing the Packers and the Bears players. He's assaulting.
I don't believe it.
Man, yeah, he's not really. You know what? Since you're the guest, we're going to start with our team and leave yours, the best, I guess, for last.
How dare you say that?
I know. I feel gross.
Go shower.
Yeah.
We have to go shower now.
Let's. I got my Jay Cutler jersey protecting me from all bad juju. Let's talk about our rookie quarterback.
All right, Caleb Williams. Obviously, rookie. I got nothing on points or top 5 finishes, but his ADP is currently QB 14 with an AAV of $1, which seems low.
Yeah, the AAV seems really low. QB 14. I mean, he's got the potential to be that. I just don't know if he will be right away. That's my concern with drafting him there. I mean, he's 15 now, but that's right behind Tua. But it's ahead of guys like Trevor Lawrence. It's ahead of Jaden Daniels, who I do think will run for his life. Kirk Cousins, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford. But he's got a lot of upside, and they've set him up with a lot of weapons. RD, how do you feel about Caleb Williams?
I think for somebody that wouldn't mind picking him up at that ADP, I think it's fantastic. I mean, 14's probably where about with his skill set as a rookie he should finish. But if you look at the guys in front of him, like, could you envision him having a better year than Justin Herbert? Yes. Jared Goff? Yes. Brock Purdy? Yes. Kyler Murray? Yes. Dak Prescott? Yes. Jordan Love? Possibly. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility with the talent that he comes in with.
It's a guarantee.
So we'll make a bet on that. But for $1, I mean, at $1, QB 14, I think the $1 is amazing. I'd love to be in a league where you get him for $1. Like, give me some of that action. But yeah, QB 14, that's a good spot. He could finish much higher than that. I don't see him finishing much lower than that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's kind of hard to put in perspective. We play in so many keeper or dynasty leagues that $1, he's not going to go for that. He's going to go for more.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, with all the weapons he has, he definitely should be worth that 14. I guess I didn't think about it. I said it might be a little high, but if you're thinking about if you're in a 12-person league, you're getting that late because everybody's already gotten their quarterback. You're drafting him as a QB2 at that point when he has the upside to be a QB1. So that makes a lot of sense.
I definitely agree that I think he has the upside there. If I can I'm not going to get him as $1 for $1 in any league I'm in. That's not happening. I don't know where this is coming from. I don't understand how he's only going for $1.
I will say, here's a guaranteed bet. He will break the Bears rookie record for touchdown passes.
What is the record right
11. Set in 1942 by Charlie O'Rourke. 11 touchdown passes is the rookie record.
Oh my God.
All I have to say is how many records was Aaron Rodgers going to break for the Jets last year?
Right, true.
Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. And Jamie pointing out no quarterback is thrown for over 4K yards. That's where this changes. And they brought in a lot of help. I don't know if it changes this year, but I do like it.
I'm definitely liking where our offense is heading. It's getting exciting.
got
We
the
just have
potential.
to not fuck it up.
Right. Wise words from Miranda. Don't fuck it up. Let's talk about the running back they brought in.
All right. We brought in DeAndre Swift with 179.8 fantasy points last year for the Eagles. He had one top 5 finish. His current ADP is RB21 with an AAV of $21. And last year he came in at RB23, missing 2 games.
Yeah. Also, I will say this before we talk about DeAndre Swift, because we're not going to talk about Khalil Herbert, but I've seen multiple articles listing him as a cut candidate, and I don't buy into that at all. The Bears love Khalil Herbert. He's still going to get touches in that backfield. So if you have people in your league that think that's true, trade for him, because he may not win the starting job and all that, but he's going to have value, especially during bye weeks and stuff. But RD, what do you think about DeAndre Swift?
Though I've had him for the last 3 years on different teams, he scores just enough points that you don't trade him. And 2, it's a Matt Eberflus backfield. He doesn't know how to run a backfield. He doesn't know how to run a stable of running backs. You guys have had good running backs for the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, I know he's only been there a few of those, but I just don't trust the coaching staff to lean on a number one. I agree with you on Herbert. I like Herbert. If Swift's injury history rears its ugly head, Herbert can be a league winner. 21's not super overpriced. It's kind of that same dart throw as Aaron Jones. So auction value is not bad. I am not drafting him as a, back end RB2 with the situation that he's in.
I agree with that because I do think they'll pass the ball more, and I do think Khalil Herbert's still going to get his touches. Jamie pointing out there's got to be something wrong with him if multiple teams keep letting him go. I just think he doesn't provide enough pop, right? I mean, he's okay, but he doesn't provide enough pop. He also says Roschon is the best running back on that team. I will disagree with that. I think Roschon is a bust. This is a guy that played behind Bijan Robinson, and just there was all sorts of things from camp about, oh, he blocks so well. There's got to be a reason he didn't see the field often. I think he's a bust. That's just my opinion. RD's thumbs up. You must like Roschon.
Hey, we argued about this at the snake draft at the Moose last year, and yeah. I thought you were going to steal him out from underneath me when I drafted him. And again, I don't think how can I have a true judgment if I don't think Eberflus can run a backfield?
Yeah, true.
Like, there's a reason he wasn't on the field because Eberflus does not like putting the best running back on the field consistently.
Yeah. Let's talk about these wide receivers because there's, I think, 3 options that are good options, just depending on how much you want to spend or snag them at. But
yeah, I'm going to start with DJ Moore.
Yeah.
He brought in 238.5 fantasy points last year with 3 top 5 finishes. He came in at wide receiver 6, which after we get through all these teams, I need to circle back with something I have said 2 years in a row now, and this is going to be the 3rd year in a row about the NFC North. But his ADP right now is wide receiver 18 with an AAV of 18.
Make it make sense. I know he's got more competition, but he should have a much more competent quarterback if Caleb Williams lives up to the hype. And Shane Waldron, I mean, he has put receivers in really good position. I think DJ Moore is one of the best in the leagues. I don't get why he's wide receiver 18. I think that's disrespectful to DJ Moore. But I'm curious to your thoughts, RD.
I think 18 is disrespectful. The list I'm looking at right now has him at 15. I'm guessing the difference on that is because I haven't switched it over to half point. But I like DJ Moore. I don't know what the bulk share is going to be for any 3 of these guys.
Yeah, true.
And if I have, I mean, getting slightly ahead, if I have to gamble on one of them, since I don't know which one's going to be the guy, I'm going to take the youngest one. So I don't have a that the auction value, if you get it for $18, jump all over that. Because he's going to have those weeks. He's going to be in the top 25 for sure, in my opinion. it does make me nervous just not knowing. Like, as a Bears fan, I love, if I were a Bears fan, I would love the bulk of talent that you have. As a team, it looks fantastic. It's setting you guys up for the future. As far as fantasy goes, is there just too many mouths to feed? And if that's the case, you're going to have weeks where he scores 20. You're going to have weeks where he scores 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Currently, I'm looking at the updated. He's at 16.
16 now. He moved up 2 spots.
But he's right behind Deebo Samuel, then Brandon Ayuk, Nico Collins, Drake London, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, Devontae Adams. I mean, Drake London jumps out at me that I would take DJ Moore over Drake London. I know London's talented, but talented receivers still put up great numbers with bad quarterbacks, and he just hasn't put up those great years yet.
I don't know how you can put both 49ers wide receivers in front of him. Like,
Right.
if you were to say Ayuk's in front of him, I can get down with that. Debo with a limited role, and they don't use him as a running back anymore with Christian McCaffrey there. I don't know how you can put him ahead of DJ Moore.
Agreed. Let's talk about the old guy in the room, so to speak.
Yes. Keenan Allen brought in 224.9 fantasy points last season with 5 top 5 finishes. He came in at wide receiver 8 last season, missing 5 games. So I can only imagine he would have maybe finished a little bit higher had he not missed those. He's currently at an ADP of wide receiver 26 with an AAV of 11.
And I know he's old, but he
What is
showed
old
he's going to be
anyway?
31.
Okay.
He was 30 last year, and that didn't seem to hold him back from finishing wide receiver 8 even after missing 5 games. This is why I don't think if Caleb Williams can live up to even half the hype, this is why I don't think he can fail. I mean, look, we give him 2 top wide receivers from last year. RD, I know you alluded to the fact that you're going for the youngest guy if you're going to take a shot on one in Rome Odunze, but what are your overall thoughts on Keenan Allen?
ADP 26, I'm not touching it. And I love looking at the stat that says finished as wide receiver 8, even though he missed 5 games. But then I realized that the Chargers had literally no one else to throw to. I mean, it's not as though the competition this year is Josh Palmer and Mike Williams, whichever one's healthy enough to be on the field. Right. He's got 3. Keenan Allen is a former number 1. DJ Moore is a number 1. If you're a Bears fan, hopefully you think Rome Odunze is going to become a number 1. So just the competition alone, it scares me off at 26. Now, I think Keenan Allen could be one of those guys who ends up slipping in drafts. And if you are in a draft where he slips, or, the bidding process in an auction is not pushing that value up, jump all over it, because he is going to be Mr. Consistent. He's going to be the guy that gets 7, 8 targets every week, absolutely no matter what. Probably going to catch 6 or 7 of them every week. You might, those 6 or 7 catches might go for 50 yards. They might go for, some weeks they might go big, but I just don't think there's, like, if he falls in drafts, get him at 26. That's a little too expensive for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's gonna. He's been consistent, Mr. Consistent before. Like, I don't know what he's gonna look like on the Bears.
Yeah, no,
I don't know that is he going to get those 7, 8 targets on the Bears.
I mean,
consistently.
He can say something that DJ Moore cannot. Caleb Williams liked Keenan Allen before he was even on the Bears. They were seen together. He did like him. DJ Moore was running his mouth saying, I'd take Fields over any of these rookies. And I think that might have left a little bit of a bad taste. I know
we talked about that drama, but since then that has gone down.
Yeah. Jamie asking, you think Keenan's going to play on the outside in 2 wide receiver sets? That's where Odunze thrives. Yeah, I don't think so either.
Slot.
Yep. The slot. How's the slot? Keenan Allen going behind guys like Amari Cooper. I know I'm a Browns hater, but I would take Keenan Allen all day. Zay Flowers for the Ravens. I don't trust their passing game. Malik Neighbors to the Giants. You're taking Dan Jones, number 1 target, over Keenan Allen. I'm not doing it, even though he's got a lot. Let's talk about the young guy in the room, Rome Odunze.
Yes. He is currently at an ADP of wide receiver 42 with an AAV of $9.
42, I'll say, is way too low in my opinion, because I do think that was a guy that before they were even drafted on the same team, Caleb Williams was like, "Oh, Roma Dunze's on my plane. I love that guy," and all that stuff. I think they are going to lean on each other and thrive. What do you think, RD?
I agree 100%. I think, and that's why, along with not knowing what this wide receiver room is going to look like as far as pecking order, you got two young guys coming in together. They're the future. They know that's, long term, Keenan Allen's not going to be there. Long term, DJ Moore's probably not getting a contract when this one's over. So you're going to see him throwing passes to Roma Dunze sometimes when he shouldn't, but I think that's the relationship that's going to be built the strongest. And at ADP and at his AAV, I'm in.
I will say RD and I pretty good friends. We have never been in the same room and flexed back and forth at each other. Like after Caleb Williams and Roma Dunze were drafted and they were in the room and they're flexing and turning. And I'm just what is going on? Why?
So next time you turn together.
Next time RD and I don't want RD to put me to shame.
I just want to know when you're going to start doing the bear growl like Caleb Williams.
Have we been a franchise for so long and no player has taken a picture doing this until Caleb Williams? I don't quite understand it. Fortune has taken Odunze. Let's talk about him. You're taking Odunze as well. Obviously in dynasty or keeper leagues, you have to go Odunze. I think he's going to have a really high upside. Redraft leagues, I like the potential as well. I think he could jump out right away as his rookie year. Let's talk about the tight end position.
Cole Kmet bringing in 144.6 fantasy points last season with 3 top 5 finishes. He finished as tight end 7. He's currently going at tight end 15 with an AAV of $1.
Go ahead, RD. I'll let you lead on this one.
I think we're into the realm of tight end now where, take your pick. I have, as a football player, I think Cole Kmet's a good player. Fantasy-wise, there's been hype behind him for a couple years. It's still not there even, you give it time. He throws up a 15-pointer, then it's back down to – so, I think in that range for $1, I'd rather have Hawkinson for $4.
Yeah.
Or if for $1, get Kmet. Don't forget to get Hawkinson. I think that's the range of tight end where you really need to think about pairing Hawkinson as your late season, if you can.
Yeah. Do you see Kmet finishing as a top 10 tight end?
No, just for the same reason I don't know what's going to happen with the 3 wide receivers. Is it in the range of possibilities? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But for that to happen, I think you would have to see, probably Keenan Allen and DJ Moore not finish as high as we think that they're going to.
Yeah. No, so Kmet is somebody that I always say is undervalued because he's finished tight end 7 the past 2 years, but they bring in Keenan Allen. They draft Roma Dunze. They bring in Gerald Everett, who's going to see time on the field as well. He's a good red zone target. Cole Kmet, unfortunately, I think is going to be the player that takes the biggest hit fantasy football wise from the changes they've made. Like you said, RD, I think he's a great football player. I love Cole Kmet. I still think he's going to get his in certain games, but with all the mouths to feed and Everett being there as well to run some of those tight end routes, he's never had to compete with a tight end that is like Everett and is as talented as Everett. So this is a guy that if I'm picking him up as my second tight end to be on my bench, I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. And if I'm spending $1, like you said, and you're grabbing Hawkinson, so when Hawkinson comes back, I'm good with that. But he's going to be more of a dart throw like the same tight ends around his range.
And coming in at that your backup tight end, your tight end 2, you shouldn't spend more than $1 on that position.
No.
Yeah.
Just saying. So
agreed. All right, let's switch to RD's team. I'm curious about some of these players and what he says, but let's start at the quarterback position.
All right, we've got Jordan Love. He brought in 330.1 fantasy points last season with 3 top 5 finishes. He came in as QB5, and he is currently at an ADP of QB8 with an AAV of $8.
How do they have another good quarterback? Go ahead, RD.
Buy it all. $8. Okay. Quarterback 8. he finished as QB5 last year with 330 points, and through 8 weeks of the season, the sporting world was ready to get rid of him. They had made a terrible mistake. They better start drafting the future. You know what I mean? So, in an offense that's growing, stick with the quarterback that you saw large amounts of growth out of in the back end of last season.
Yeah,
even you could take the names out of it. You could put the same type of scenario in another location. The fantasy math, if you will, just makes sense. You know, rookie, not really, but you know what I'm saying. Improves the back end of the season. You hop in. Look at Jared Goff. This is what I was thinking about when I was prepping. Jared Goff, first year in Detroit, back end of the year, bunch of improvement. Last year, top 7 finish. I think you're going to see that kind of improvement from Jordan Love.
Yeah. I can't disagree with you at the $8 for a guy that, I mean, he's a potential top 5 quarterback. You would expect he takes another step forward. You don't really expect him to fall behind. So I can't disagree with you there. Unfortunately, I wish I could say, oh, the Packers are in trouble. They're dog shit at quarterback, but I can't do it. I can't lie like that because it looks like they've done it again and got somebody that can win games for them.
I agree.
Let's talk about their new shiny running back.
Let's do it. We've got Josh Jacobs, who brought in 162.6 fantasy points last season with 1 top 5 finish. He came in at the end of the year as RB27, but he did miss 5 games. He's currently going at an ADP of 10 with an AAV of 39.
Seems high, but I'll turn it over to you, RD.
I think at that price, you're buying him at his peak. And until you know how Matt LaFleur is going to use him, with the depth behind him, you can't just assume that it's Aaron Jones bell cow role. I think that would be taking him at his peak. I'm not a fan of doing that, so I'd want to see him a little lower in both ADP and auction value. I'm just not sure, you know, do they want him to be Josh Jacobs from 2 years ago, or do they want him to be more of what Aaron Jones was supposed to be last year before he got hurt, and that's the lead guy in a dual complement role with the guys behind him? So I don't want to pay that much for him. I want him a little cheaper than that. And plus I have all the hate that you spewed about him for the last 2 years conflicting me. So how's the argument between you two going on this? Because I know you've never agreed on him.
Yeah, so I've always been out on Josh Jacobs. You've been for him. Are you drafting him on the Packers? I mean, the price seems high.
I do agree. It seems a little high to me. It's going to really depend on where he's going in my drafts. Like if I can get him at a better value.
And I think from what I'm hearing anyways, and RD, maybe you've heard more, I think they want to get Marshawn Lloyd involved too. So I don't think this is just going to be a bell cow. Jacobs is going to touch it every down.
I agree. I think you're going to see A.J. Dillon move into we'll call it a John Kuhn role. I don't think he's going to be your true quote-unquote fullback, but I think they're going to try to use him more in that realm where you have 2 running backs on the field at the same time. I think, one, they've talked about Lloyd a bunch, and he's got, that athletic burst. I think the fact that they can cut Josh Jacobs next year at relatively no real harm to their salary cap situation, I mean, this is a prove-it deal. So, if you have faith in Josh Jacobs, it's a prove-it year. That's a good year to gamble on, guys. The way this team has been so youth movement oriented, I don't see him as a 5-year bell cow for the Packers, which means Marshawn Lloyd's going to get touches.
Yeah. He's going right ahead of Derrick Henry. I wouldn't draft him ahead of Henry just because I think Henry's going to get a shit ton of red zone touches. He's going ahead of Rachaad White. We haven't talked that division yet, but I would take him ahead of Rachaad White. James Cook, I'm not so sure about. So
I'm not sure on that either.
Yeah. Kind of interesting. Let's talk about these wide receivers because, I mean, they have 3, Dobbs, Watson, Reed. They all kind of trade on who's got good games. I mean, Jaden Reed's going as their top guy right now at $9. Wide receiver.
Yeah, I think it's the same problem the Bears have, except it's not. You don't have the same name value, if you will.
Mhm.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not those high. It's not those high end names, but it's the same problem. It's you have a ton of young talent. You have a ton of mouths to feed. I mean, Samare Toure is completely forgotten about in this offense, and he's a quality wide receiver. So take your pick. I think Watson is who I like, just because I read too much of these health articles that say he's strengthened this hamstring by 20-some%. I'm like, well, man, if this is true, I think in his AAV at $1, that's a dart throw I really like, because even with a crappy hamstring for $1, you'd like Christian Watson. If those legs have gotten athletically stronger and he isn't going to tweak his hamstring every third week, I think that's the guy who could be the bell cow. Otherwise, I think you're just going to have another year kind of Russian roulette, as far as 1 week it's going to be Jaden Reed, 1 week it's going to be Dobbs, 1 week it's going to be Watson, 1 week it's going to be Torrey, 1 week it's going to be Wicks. Some weeks it's going to be 150 receiving yards from Jacobs out of the backfield. I just don't think there's, it's not an offense that's predicated on getting a bell cow the ball over and over and over and over.
Yeah. It was interesting reading those articles that he found out his problem and injury history with the hamstring is because they weren't equal strength, and that he supposedly fixed that now that he understands it. Fortune does say he does not like, I will not say, I'd say hate is a strong word, Nick. He doesn't like any of the Packers wide receivers, would take Keenan Allen over Christian Watson.
Over a healthy Christian Watson?
You got to remember, he is a 49ers fan, and the 49ers the Packers have posed more of a threat to the Niners than the Bears have. So there is that to go off of. Let's talk about their tight end, who was injured most of last year. Well, real quick, is your ranking? So Christian Watson's your number one guy. Are you taking Jaden Reed or Dobbs after that?
Jaden Reed, just for upside of explosiveness. Romeo Dobbs to me is like your Keenan Allen. He's your sure-handed guy who you're going to go to on 3rd and 7, and he's going to make those contested catches, which he showed last year. I think you got Wicks behind that, and then Samare behind that. And those are guys to Wicks and Torrey obviously don't touch unless one or two of the other guys go down with injuries, and then those guys become interesting.
Makes sense. Speaking of injuries, let's talk about the tight end who was injured.
6 games.
Yeah.
6 games. He missed 6 games of the season. Luke Musgraves only brought in 58.2 fantasy points. He didn't have any top 5 finishes. Came in at tight end 31. He's currently going at tight end 17 with an AAV of $1.
I call this the curse of Jared Cook. We didn't pay him when we should have. And every year since has been the next guy that's going to be a good tight end. And then he's just, he's a good tight end. You know what I mean? Tanyan had that big touchdown year and was supposed to be the guy. Now he's on his 4th NFC North team in as many years or whatever. Musgrave, I like. I think he's a good football player. But until we see it on a consistent basis, I mean, I don't even know that him or Kraft are even worth a dart throw during the auction. Those are guys you might pick up off free agency, once we kind of see the pecking order of things, or once, injuries start to roll in. But I don't think you're wasting draft money on a Packer tight end this year.
I am in complete agreement.
Going one spot after Pat Freiermuth, who I like a lot more than Musgrave. Going 2 spots ahead of Taysom Hill, who is your guy. You love to draft Taysom Hill.
He has his moments because they use him at every single position.
You love to draft
former Packer, practice squad player. Taysom Hill.
I like it. Let's talk about some of the top options. Artie, we'll start with you. Who's your top overall, and it can be and best valued or best valued quarterback? You can give both, one or the other. Your call.
Top quarterback for me is Jordan Love, mainly due to the upside that I still think is there, whereas Goff is at your peak. And I still think both in the Vikings situation and in the Bears situation, you're going to have growing pains, not based off what I think about the quarterback, but just that's what happens when you have young quarterbacks. You have growing pains. So I think it's Love at the top. Best value. I mean, I go auction crazy. So Caleb Williams for $1. It's not even questionable. Now I will say the whole division, quarterbacks are great value.
Yeah,
I'm down with any of them at their AAV right now.
Yeah, agreed.
I completely agree with that. I think the AAVs are great value on all these guys. And I do agree with you. Jordan Love is probably the best. It's the best of our options here. But I don't think, especially like in a dynasty, you cannot go wrong with drafting Caleb Williams at $1.
Yeah, agreed. In a dynasty, though, I don't think he goes for $1.
I don't think so. Or just a keeper league. Okay,
Yeah.
so just our keepers. Like,
yeah, I think he goes higher for that in keepers. Just
in
'cause of
our
the-
leagues, he's going to.
Yeah.
We're not. Nobody's gonna let us get him for $1.
Yeah. Yeah, Love is my top. Goff is my best value. I know that JJ could be good value or Darnold either, but I just think Goff has been consistent. He's shown that he can be consistent, which I didn't think he could. But since he's been in Detroit, and just to update everybody, the Montreal Alouettes are beating the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 7-3. A little bit of a surprise to me, but Blue Bombers will turn it on soon. Let's talk about running backs. Top running back and best valued.
I think division-wise, it goes Gibbs. This is best. I'm going best first case here. Gibbs, Jacobs, and then I have Monty and DeAndre kind of 1A, 1B, and Aaron Jones behind that. I think Aaron Jones is the best value of those guys because I don't think I think in a lot of drafts he's going to go lower than that AAV, and the potential to hit home runs when you're not paying for a home run hitter is what I think gives him the best value. Everybody else, you're kind of paying for what you're going to get.
Yeah. For me, best, who's probably going to finish as the top running back, it is Gibbs. I just think he's a little overpriced right now. Jamie saying Roshan is great value. My best value, David Montgomery. I'm not spending that. Did I steal yours?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not spending the money on Gibbs. I'm going for Monty and knowing that he's going to get
both of them. Like, because I think that I do see him finishing pretty close together. And I think that if Montgomery does finish like top 15, getting him at his value right now is very.
Yeah, I could see it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about wide receivers. Best and best valued. RD?
Okay, so this in our sheet, J-Mark, it was who are we targeting, not best. So I did this one kind of different.
Oh, yeah. That works.
So two that I'm targeting and best valued, I actually have the same answer, and it's Christian Watson at $1 and Rome Odunze. And I like both of them because I think their values were both in great. And you still have young players if you're in a keeper league, if you're in a dynasty league. I think I have blind faith in the Christian Watson thing, but I think Rome over the long haul is going to be great for the Bears with Caleb Williams. So both value and who I'd like to get after, both those guys.
All right, Mer, since I stole yours last time.
No. Justin Jefferson and Rome Odunze.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
I still feel like $41 is too low for him. I think going at wide receiver 4 is too low for him.
Yeah.
And I would pay, you know me, I would pay the money to get your top guys.
Yeah.
But, and I also think, Rome Odunze is going to be, I think he's going to do really well with Williams.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to see how much I save if I pick Amon-Ra over Justin Jefferson for somebody I'm targeting. You save a little bit. So I do kind of like that because I do think he has as high of a ceiling maybe. And yeah, it's hard to go wrong with Rome Odunze, but it's also Christian Watson is a guy who's put up some really big games. So if you're getting him at wide receiver 44 or for $1, that's hard not to grab him at that, in my opinion, on an offense that we've seen last year can move the ball. And so if his health is truly fixed, if he's got a hold of that and he's not going to be missing games, it's hard not to go with Watson. All right. Top tight end and best valued. RD?
Tight end
Yeah.
top is Laporta. best value is Hawkinson because he's going to go cheap and you're going to have him for the playoff run. So I think that's an easy one. If we want to go maybe sleeper tight end, Eric All for Cincinnati coming out of nowhere to keep tight end you going.
There you go. Come on. He was only a Hawkeye for a year.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, he does have potential. I assume your tight ends are the same.
Mhm.
Yeah, agreed. So we're adding, if you caught us last time, we're adding a best bets section because everybody loves to gamble a little bit. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people do. So, RD, do you want to kick us off with your first bet?
Yes, but I have to preface it. You've heard how many good things I've said about Bears today. So this is not a knock on the potential that you guys have moving forward. However, there's been so much hype that now I'm hearing that he could take them to a Super Bowl as a rookie. He looks like peak level Aaron Rodgers. And you're telling me I can get him at plus 100 to not make the playoffs? Give it to me. They could make the playoffs. The Packers made it at 9-8 last year. I think they're going to be contending as we get into late weeks. But if you're giving me plus money on a rookie quarterback to maybe finish a game or two behind that playoff line, I'm going to take that. And to kind of tie onto that, at 8.5, Packers 9-8 last year. So I think the Bears are right in that same realm. I think they're going to have some tough times. They're going to grow throughout the season and get better. Under 8.5 at plus 140. It's like I said, not an indication of what I think the Bears are capable of, but just rookie quarterback, the hype that almost always comes with the fall. I'll take plus money in both those situations.
I take back every nice thing. Mer, I'll let you take the next. What do you have for the best bet?
Yeah, I'm going with a homer pick here. I'm gonna go out there too. Okay, Caleb Williams, offensive rookie of the year, is at plus 135, and he's the favorite. I feel like this. We've set him up for success.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I know we gave this out right after the draft around when he was around plus 250.
Mm-hmm.
So I hopefully people went and did that then, but I'm gonna go with this.
Yeah. Man, the only concern I guess is that if it's a narrative driven award, does he have too much hype right now? But obviously I do think he will be rookie of the year if he performs how they keep saying. Jamie's bold prediction: Packers versus Jets Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers plays the game.
That would be awesome.
Right. That would be good narrative. I'm going to piggyback off of yours. It's not as juicy as plus 135, but I feel like it's a solid bet, whether the Bears are good or bad. Caleb Williams higher than 23.5 passing yards. Or passing touchdowns. Sorry, not yards. I'm sure he's going to hit that if he doesn't get injured. But passing touchdowns. And I found that on Underdogs pick 'em. You can find it on books too, but I like pairing it with some of the other favorite Underdog picks. The Bears had 19 passing touchdowns last year. That's with Tyson Bagent starting 2 games, Special Agent Bagent. So I think you have a much better receiving corps. Caleb Williams should be better. He's supposed to be better throwing the ball than Fields / Tyson Bagent was. So I think he hits this higher than 23.5.
So
that's only 4 more passing touchdowns.
What did you say earlier? That Bears rookie
11. Yes.
So you're going to have him not only double it, but go above it?
Yes. 100%. 100%. Bears don't fuck this up. RD, how about for your second bet?
All right. We're at that time of the year where I'm not looking for necessarily bets that I think are 100% locks. I'm looking at, that's really good odds. Yeah. I think Sam Darnold is Sam Darnold and is not going to start for the Vikings. I think the guy that just won a national championship is going to start for the Vikings, and he's throwing to the best wide receiver in football. He's getting one of the best tight ends in football. He has one of the best offensive coaches in football. So, J.J. McCarthy, rookie of the year, plus 1,200. Likelihood is probably going to fall flat on his face. However, if he throws the ball a lot to J.J. and McConnell Did I say that right? Is as good as coaching as he has shown with Kirk Cousins as a quarterback, with Nick Mullins as a quarterback, even still having a chance to make the playoffs last year. And exactly what you were talking about with Caleb, as far as if the expectation's high and he doesn't produce, how is he still going to get that Rookie of the Year mark? Give me plus 1,200 on a home run chance.
I like it. Juicy.
Mm-hmm.
Juicy. Miranda, go ahead for your next.
All right. For my next one, I'm looking at Bears versus Packers, like series correct score. And I know
Bears win both. No? Okay.
I'm not going with that. I would not do that. No. I feel like, the Packers have been picking on us for a while now, but I feel like we've got so much going for us. We're turning the franchise around. I'm not going to say that Bears are going to win both games, but I will say, like, we split it. We split the series, so that's plus 110. So you're still getting money, plus money.
Yeah.
And I think it's plausible. I think it's doable. I'm not going to say we're taking both.
Yeah. No, I like that. I think splitting the series is very realistic. Our defense has gotten a lot better. We have more offensive weapons. So I like that. RD, are you on board with that one?
I'm fine with that. And honestly, you look at parlaying every division series as a 1-1.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure somebody's going to end up sweeping somebody, so it'll go up in dust when that happens. However, this is the most, I feel like the NFC North and the AFC North are those two divisions that are just so tight. There's not that much, difference between Detroit and Minnesota. Few calls go a few different ways. That's an easy flop. So parlay it all. 1-1 around it. I bet you get great odds on something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I bet there would be. I almost don't even want to say my second one after the bad things you said about the Bears, but I'm going to anyways. Because it's gross to say, and it is a total fate of the Lions. I'm going to admit that right away. I just loved the price of it. NFC North division finish, first and second place. First place Packers, second place Bears. It's 8-1, so plus 800. That's gross to think of.
It's nasty.
But yeah, but I could see it playing out that way. I mean, RD and I talked about this last year on the NFL Gambling Pod, that any of these teams could take the division. Any of them could have a down year and blow it. So if the Packers take a step forward and the Bears take a step forward and the Lions, coming off all this hype where they didn't make the Super Bowl, regress, and you're getting 8-1, I like the odds enough that I'll lay a little bit on it.
And not just didn't make the Super Bowl, choked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Choked
Yep.
on somebody's kneecap, apparently.
That's what you get for biting kneecaps. You choke on them. Oh, man. Well, this has been a lot of fun. RD, it's always fun having you on.
Great time as always, guys.
Talking
Thank
a
you
little
for
shit
joining us.
in the NFC North and our rivalry we have going on.
It was pretty tame.
It was pretty tame. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm disappointed about that or not.
I am so scared that your GM knows what he's doing. Like my only hope in all of this is that they didn't, like, how did they not fire Eberflus last year? Because if he doesn't do good this year, you have to fire him next year. And now you're putting yourself in a position where Caleb's got multiple different coaches. The talent should be there to make it not matter, but I just thought it should have been fresh start for both of them. But I can't talk trash. I got a lot of respect for what they've done, and it's a scary team. I feel like we're getting ready to go back to the Rogers Cutler days, where, even if record-wise it was skewed in one direction, those games were close. Those were battles.
Yeah.
I mean, back and forth. Hester returning kicks. The defense is playing nasty. And the NFL is better when the Packers and Bears is both guys shooting for the playoffs.
Yeah.
You get to week 17, week 18, somebody's trying to knock somebody out of seeding or a playoff spot. That's when the NFL's at its best.
Yeah, absolutely. Take me back to Favre and Urlacher going head to head. Those were the days. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on the social media?
You can find me on the X at bet_the_bar. It's called Bet the Bar because I own a bar and I like to make bets. Other than that, you can find me in Clive, Iowa at the Flying Moose. We talk sports. We have the Sunday Ticket. We talk shit to each other all the time. So stop out anytime you're in the Clive, Des Moines area.
And 2-for-1s every day, right?
Every day till 8 o'clock.
I mean, nobody else
You
is
can't
doing
beat
that.
the 2 for
It
1.
makes me want to tear out my hair sometimes, but everybody loves it. So
Yeah, absolutely. RD, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
You got to come back soon.
anytime, guys. I appreciate you and keep up the great work.
Yeah. And we're going to talk whiskey. You're welcome to hang out back if you want, or you can take off either way.
I gotta go check this 20-point beating the Mavs are taking right now. But
No.
love the whiskey talking. You guys have a great rest of your night.
Thanks,
You
man. You
too.
too. Go Mavs. All righty. Yeah, that was fun. Always fun talking with RD. Pretty cool for a Packer fan.
Yes, that he is.
Let's talk a little whiskey though. You said that we were drinking the Jeffersons. So let's talk a little Jeffersons. I'm going to pour it and do a little tasting while you're talking, if that works
All
for you.
right. So if you've listened to us before, you've probably heard us talk about Jefferson's whiskey, and more specifically their Ocean's Aged at Sea, because for a while that was my favorite bourbon, Voyage 23. And I'm saying for a while because I don't know if that's my favorite bourbon anymore, but I couldn't really tell you what it is right now.
Yep, we evolve. Our
We-
palate
we have
evolves. We like
evolved.
different things.
But I do like, it's not a gimmick. Their Ocean's Aged at Sea is not a gimmick. And I think
Which I thought it was. I just
You
want to
did,
say I thought
and it's
it
not
was.
every voyage we have tried, which we've tried 3 of them, and the rye. They're different. Obviously, the rye is going to be different from the bourbon, but they are different, and you get to see their log. And anyway, we are not drinking Ocean's Aged at Sea.
You
Obviously,
get
I
to
could
see
go
their
on
log.
and
Can you can you word that differently, please?
no, you get to see their log, their voyage log.
Yes,
For
it's
where
gone.
the aged at, for
Yeah.
where that voyage number
'Cause
for
it
like
goes
the
from
path
port
they
to port
traveled.
and
Yes.
stuff.
No, you just get to see their log. Mic drop, done. We are not drinking Ocean's Aged at Sea. Obviously, I really love talking about that. I think it's a very unique concept. But we are drinking their Jefferson's Tropics, which is finished in Singapore and aged in humidity. And what we have learned, obviously, from the Aged at Sea or just different regions of whiskey around the country that we've tried, like the climate definitely impacts the aging process and the flavors that come out of the wood
Yeah,
into the whiskey.
100%.
So Jefferson's does not let's see.
They don't distill their
No-
own whiskey,
Yeah.
right? They blend
I
it.
think they blend.
They do blend.
They do blend it. I
Yeah.
was gonna double check. I was like, I wrote that down, but I wanted to make sure I was right.
No, that is right. They don't distill
No.
it. They do blend it. They don't say where they get it from.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing I wish I knew, because they say we get premium whiskey. Do you, or do you get Evan Williams? Like what do you put in those?
Evan
barrels?
Williams bottled and bond isn't bad.
No, but it's a cheap whiskey.
It is
and
a
you're
cheap
paying
whiskey.
a
A
little bit
premium,
up,
a little
for
bit
this.
mid shelf. This is more. No, you can pay. I don't know what this one is right offhand. This was gifted to me.
Yes, by me.
It was. So I don't know what you spent for it. Anyway, so this specific whiskey, like we said, finished in Singapore. The barrels are exposed to that harsh tropical weather conditions, and they actually accelerate the maturing process. And this is a limited release of straight Kentucky bourbon.
I do like how they play around with their stuff.
Mhm.
I do think that's kind of. I mean, obviously it's unique, but just the way that they have played around with the different stuff.
Yeah, and we've Jefferson's has been, experimenting with how climate impacts taste and their aging process since the start of Jefferson's back in 1997, which doesn't
didn't
seem that
realize they-
long ago.
Well, that was a long ass time ago.
But
I didn't realize it'd been around that long.
I feel like they haven't been that isn't very long, but I'm old now, I guess. 1997 doesn't seem like it should be that long ago.
It was.
I know. Okay.
What?
What? We
many
just talked
years
about
ago?
players who were like born in 2000, 2001, after
True.
2000. So, anyway,
That's like 27 years old, isn't it?
What?
That's 27 years
It
old.
is past wide receiver prime.
No, that's right at their prime.
No,
is it not?
26 is their prime. I suppose they could carry into their prime when they're 27. Anyway,
Interesting.
we're derailing.
Yes.
So they came up with this idea in 2021, and they shipped a limited number of barrels of fully mature Kentucky bourbon. So it's already been matured and aged, and they shipped it across the Pacific Ocean to Singapore. And that's just 85 miles north of the equator. So
it's
they're
hot.
it is, well, it's like 88 degrees year round.
Okay.
Constant.
Though.
Constant.
And
Yeah.
high humidity, I assume.
Very high humidity.
Since this is
I mean, the
aged in
rainforest
humidity.
is like on the anyway. Those barrels are then aged for an additional 18 months in Singapore's heat and humidity, and those conditions cause like the natural reactions in the cask to accelerate, which leads to an accelerated aging process compared to if it was just sitting in the rick houses in Kentucky. So then that faster rate of evaporation and evaporation concentrated the wood extracts and drove like an oxidative reaction, leading to a more unique flavor profile. Look at all these scientific words
scientist.
here.
I mean, technically you could probably qualify as a scientist, but and so I've been tasting this and smelling it. For the smell, I don't get a ton aside. Well, maybe now that I've tasted it, I'm getting more
I get
like
vanilla.
vanilla.
Yeah, like actual, like if you open a bottle of vanilla.
I have toffee, and the taste, this is not like drinking Voyage 23. There's a ton of spice to this. Where Voyage 23, I don't feel like
Do
has
you
a lot
not
of.
diss my Voyage 23?
No, I'm saying I don't feel like it has a lot of spice flavor to it. It's got more of that bourbon, caramel, smooth type.
But it does have
This
a
has a lot
little
of spice.
something.
We'll try it. This I feel like has a lot of spice.
I
Got
can
some kick
definitely
to it.
smell vanilla.
This is 104 proof, so that's a little bit more than Voyage 23 as well. What are you thinking?
It's good.
It is good. I do want to point out as well that you have filed complaints in the past on the ice cubes that I've used in the old fashions. I don't know if you noticed, but I used your big rose ice cube rather than the
and
little
my
ones.
drink was not instantly watered down.
See?
My favorite way to drink whiskey is neat.
Yeah.
It
Because
wasn't-
you're a Hoser fan.
I drank my whiskey neat before he came out with this.
Oh, okay. He's a fan of you, is what you're saying. Jamie asking, have you ever heard of salt brining barrels in the ocean? I saw it on a Gordon Ramsay show. I've not heard that, but that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
I will say, like the Voyage 23 specifically, but the Aged at Sea that I thought was gimmicky. I don't know if it's because you read Aged at Sea or whatever, but sometimes when you taste it, there's almost like a little undertone of saltiness in there. You know, you do have that salty air when you're out at sea.
Barrels are tight.
But they're contracting everything, and that air is impacting them.
See, I think that's in your head.
It
I
could be.
think you can be persuaded. And I don't get that sea salt when I drink it.
I'm easily persuaded.
You could easily say that you get sea salt out of this because it's shipped across the ocean. What do you think that the barrels stopped?
I taste humidity in this.
And they couldn't. But I'm saying, like, these barrels were also shipped across the ocean. So they got that sloshing movement, and they were exposed to the sea salt air.
To me, this tastes like the salty sweat that you get when you're out in humid air. No, I'm just kidding.
Disgusting. This is not disgusting bourbon, guys.
What do you get from it? I mean, I have a lot of the spiciness. Maybe a little vanilla, but maybe it's because you said it. And I definitely get like the wood taste that you get with bourbon.
It does have a little bit of vanilla-y to me. Like, to me, this is it almost, does it kind of remind you of a rye? Like a rye bourbon.
Because of the spice. That's what I'm saying. I get a lot of spice up front.
And
a lot more than you
me
get out of
really
Voyage
like
23.
Because I am very partial to ryes.
You're a rye gal.
And this is a complex bourbon. I think I like ryes because they tend to be more complex. And especially with name like Jefferson's, I feel like their bourbons, aside from their aged at sea and this, but like it's not your craft distillery.
Right.
Who is, it's gonna just be like it's a bourbon. There's nothing crazy unique about it.
Mm-hmm.
This is good.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Like this is unique, a little bit complex.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I don't want to say that bourbons are boring because I love bourbon, but I like ryes more because they can be exciting and different.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Mhm.
And especially when you're talking about a bigger brand like Jefferson's, sometimes the bourbon doesn't have that thing that makes it stand out.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I've taken at least 3 or more than 3. And now the flavor's really starting to I'm starting to get that full flavor. And the oak is really, there's an oaky afterbirth.
Shout out to any Office fans. There's a little oaky afterbirth. Yeah, I'm trying to suppress hiccups, so I'm not saying too much because it's like a nightmare I have as doing podcasts, getting hiccups on a pod. It'd be terrible. No, but I absolutely get what you're saying, that it's almost like a rye. I'd be curious to know the blend in this one because it tastes like a high rye bourbon.
It does taste like a high rye bourbon, so I would like to know that too. Yeah,
they don't divulge it because Jefferson's will not tell you where they get their stuff. They won't give that information, but it is good. I thought it was really good in the old fashioned. I thought the spiciness of it really made that stand out. What you did?
I thought it was so. I am pleasantly surprised trying this neat compared to the old fashioned.
You thought it was bland in the old fashioned?
I thought that
I might have put a little extra in mine. I tend to do that sometimes.
You didn't make them equal?
No, I usually make mine a little bit stronger.
Then we're not trying the same thing.
Well, no, but we drink.
We're not giving a review on this. Oh, how dare you! I make ours equal when I'm the bartender.
I'm in trouble.
So anyway,
I feel like Hagrid should not have said that. I should not have said that. Well, we've done Office and Harry Potter references,
so we're good for the. We're good.
Back, yeah.
I thought that this old fashioned was just like a. I didn't want to insult you because it's not an insult, but like an old fashioned you'd go out and get at a restaurant and they put just, it just tastes like an old fashioned you'd go out and get if you're going out to eat.
Didn't stand out is what you're saying.
But this is good.
Yeah.
Neat. I can taste all that. It fades in the old fashioned, but the proof doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a strong old fashioned. It makes a strong old fashioned.
Yeah. And RD saying he may need a whiskey for the second half. Mavs are coming back. Place your money line bets now. I'm saying it, even though it's 20 points or whatever he said. That maybe not so good. I feel more comfortable. The dog is obviously had enough of our podcast. She's licking my leg. Please stop that. I feel more comfortable betting the money line on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now to come back. They are down 14-3. What is happening? Do you have anything else you want to add about the NFC North or this whiskey?
One thing I forgot to say, and it's valid, so I need to say it. The last 2 years of recapping seasons that we've done, the NFC North has the most of any other division in the NFL, the most top 10 in all positions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, we got 2 top 10 quarterbacks out of Love and Goff. In the running back position from the end of last season and like who we currently have, we're kind of hurting. We only got 1, so 10%, obviously. But when you look at wide receivers, I know we're not anticipating Keenan Allen to maybe finish in the top 10, but he did last year. We've got 4 top 10 wide receivers in the NFC North right now.
DJ, Keenan, Amon-Ra, and
Justin Jefferson.
Did he finish in top 10?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he didn't because of his injury.
No, he still did. Am I wrong? He's still a top 10 wide receiver.
You're wrong.
You think I'm wrong?
Yeah, I do. He finished wide receiver 28.
Oh, shit. Well, he's a top 10 wide receiver.
When healthy,
doesn't matter. So we had 30% of the top 10 wide receivers. We also have 30% of the top tight ends.
Laporta, Kmet, and Hawkinson. Yes.
And when you look at other divisions, you don't see that. You don't see this big cluster of all these top 10. And so when I'm drafting in any league, I tend to get more NFC North players.
Yeah.
Not just because I'm a Bears fan or I'm biased because
But that's
we're up
probably
here.
what people think. They're like,
They probably do.
Homer, yeah.
But when you look at the stats and the data and the trends, we have more.
Yeah.
Top 10 in every position.
We rule is what she's saying.
Mm-hmm. We are lacking in the running back area this year, but we haven't in past years.
Yeah. Maybe this year that'll change when Monty is a top 10.
When what?
Monty is a top 10. I mean, but Josh Jacobs has potential. Aaron Jones on the Vikings, when healthy, has potential. Gibbs obviously is going to be there. I don't know if Swift will be a top 10. I don't think he's going to be bad, but I just don't know if he's going to be a league winner just because of everything they have going on for Chicago. Yeah, we're going to be back next week with 2 podcasts because we are going to make up for that one we missed, Jamie. We're going to do that on Tuesday, and then we have a Thursday pod as well. NFC South on Tuesday. I don't think we've decided on Thursday, but it will be AFC because I believe we will conclude with NFC East. Yeah.
Are we just going to cut that division out?
Yeah. Nobody cares about the Eagles or the Cowboys. Maybe we'll see if Moneyline's available to at least pop on for some best bets. He does that more than fantasy football, but he's a big Commanders fan.
Jamie throwing in one last comment about Roshan. He has top 10 ability.
He was RB8 week 1 last year. I remember that game. They were very behind and they didn't play him until the 4th quarter, and he ended up getting some garbage time stuff. But if he's good, it's good for the Bears, so I'm happy with it. For me, I don't think he will be. I think he's a bust. Though Jamie said I'm a bust. Anything else you'd like to add at the end?
No, we're good. I just added my 2 cents.
I forgot. Here's what did you know that Roshan Johnson's significant other won't go to church with him?
Everybody expects you to win. My wife couldn't go to church with me on Sunday, and everybody said, "Where is she?" I said, "She doesn't go out with losers." Everybody expects you to win.
Yeah, she doesn't go out with losers. That's why his significant other won't go to church with him. Anyways.
Okay.
That was the Montana State coach, Bob something, I believe. I don't remember. Anywho, that's all I got. How's your old fashioned over there?
It's good.
But is it?
It's not gone, so I can't say it's gone, Justin.
Son of a.
I know what you want from me, but I won't lie.
But I won't lie. Thank you for also Jamie tried to marry Roshan's mom, Sony, and raise him as his own son. Love it. That's all we got for today. So thank you all for joining us. We appreciate the support. Don't forget to head on over to Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating. Doesn't have to be 5-star, but we appreciate it too. Share this with all your friends. We appreciate the support as we're trying to, have another great year here. So going once, going twice.
Sold.